Welcome to this week's session with the Putnam County District Library, the Guiding Ohio Online Grant. This week we are looking at Google Chromebook Shortcuts. There are actually going to be 15 shortcuts that we will showcase here today. There's many more shortcuts available. We're going to look at what is kind of viewed as what I would say the top 15 shortcuts that are probably used. So I have a list here that I will show this at the beginning of the session, and then I will bring it back on. We'll use it throughout, and then I'll bring it back on at the end, just so that you can reference that if you would like. What you'll notice is the top 4 actually are in blue, and that's because these are 4 that can be used not only with your Chromebook and within Google Chrome, but also across most forms of any type of software. These are shortcuts that will work. So if you look at Control A as the first one, as we go down through these, I am going to bullet in front of that, so once we've discussed it. So Control A will highlight all of the information. So if I do a Control A here on my keyboard, it's going to highlight everything on my page. If I do a Control C, I am going to simply highlight this one line. I'm going to do a Control C. You're not going to see that anything has changed. Nothing looks any different, but I did actually use Control C already on my keyboard. So I'm going to go down one line. I'm going to do the Control V, what's right below there. So I'm going to do these next 3 kind of all together. If I do Control V, notice I now have Control C twice. So when I did that, it did the copy onto my clipboard, and then the Control V pasted it. If I highlight that second one again now, and I do a Control X, it's going to cut that back out. So Control C, Control V, Control X, those are used obviously very often all together. So we've talked about those top 4 then. So then we're getting more to, from within Google Chrome here, how these work. So if I go to Control L or Alt D, either one will do that. I am actually going to bring up this other, I've got another window open. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to Control L, and then what you'll see is by doing that, Control L highlights the address bar. So notice right now my address bar is not highlighted. Control L highlighted it. So now I could just type right over top of that, and if I wanted to go to another location, I would just put whatever that address might be in. Control T will open up a different tab. Currently, I have on this particular, on my window currently, I have 4 different tabs. This first one you can't really see, that is Loom. That's what I'm using to record this with. Then I have Google Docs, I have Build Putnam, and I have the Putnam Sentinel. The difference is I have back behind here then, this is a different window. So these are tabs, and then these 2 are windows. So when I do a Control T, with a Control T, what will happen is I'm going to do Control T here on my page, and when I go Control T, what you're going to see is going to see a brand new tab open up. New tab, plain. What this went to was whatever I had set as my opening page for Google Chrome. So Control T, new tab. Or I should say, yes, Control T opens a new tab. If I do Control Tab, which is a little bit different, Control Tab, again, Tab is on the same side as where your Control key is on your keyboard, Control Tab. And notice now it's jumping between my tabs. I have, like I said, I have now what amounts to 5 tabs. My Loom, my Google Docs, Build Putnam, the Sentinel, and now a new tab. If I say I want to do Control 2, for example, it's going to go to Google Docs because that's the second one in my row. If I do Control 4, it's going to go to the Sentinel because that's the fourth one in my row. So when you're using the Control tab, you are switching between the different tabs. Control N, remember, these are tabs. If I do a Control N, what's going to happen is I'm going to get a new window. Remember I said right now we have 5 tabs open. I have 2 windows. If I do Control N, I get a completely different window. So now I have 3 windows open. Again, it goes to whatever you have set as your home page is where the new window will be. So I got a new window. If I want to just highlight my search bar, so when I am on a page, I have the address up here. If I want to do and just highlight my search bar, if I do Control E, notice what happens up here. I now have my search Google, and I could type in. So if I wanted to search for something in Google, Control E, real quick, takes me to my search tab. Gotta go back here to my dock here. Okay, Control R. Sometimes you might be in a page and it doesn't maybe completely load. If that happens to you, so let's go to the Bill Putnam page for a minute. Notice I've got my address up here at the top, and when I go to reload a page, so I'm going to go Control R, and you'll notice this spins. Watch right beside this opportunity awaits, where Bill Putnam's at, and how this spins. I'll do it one more time. Notice right up there above my arrow, Control R, and it reloads the page. So it's reloading everything. So in case something didn't load correctly, that's how I would get that to show back up. If I go to Alt tab, switches between my windows. So remember, we talked about tabs. We also have 3 windows open. So if I do Alt and tab, not Control, but Alt tab this time, it's going to switch between the different windows. So I've got my library, and then I've got this Google Doc that I'm showing. So that switches between those. And then Control W will close the current tab. Now, I'm not going to close the tab on what I'm currently on so that the document stays. I'm going to go over here to New Tab, and I'm going to do the Control W, close that window up. Again, if I'll go to this one here, and I'm going to do Control W, close the window up. So Control W would real quickly close any of the extra windows that I have open, and it would close those up. Shift Control W closes the current window. So the difference between closing a tab versus a window is Control W closes the tab, Shift Control W closes the window. So in other words, I'm back here, I'm on a whole separate window. So if I do Shift Control W, it's going to close that window. Now, if you only have a single window open, then obviously, it's going to, if you only have a single window open and you hit Control W, it's going to close that. If you have numerous ones like I did, do Shift Control W, then you're going to close up whatever the current one was that you were on. And then the last 2 work together here. And when you're doing that, what you're going to get is if I do a Control and then what is called the Overview key. The Overview key is typically found above where your number 5 key is. It looks like a window, and it has 2 lines on the right-hand side. And if you do the Control Overview, Notice what happens here on the side. It's captured the whole page. So everything that I have here opened in my window was saved over to my clipboard. So now I can just delete it, and I'm going to hit delete. So it copied it to my clipboard. If I do Control Shift Overview key, so I've added the shift in, and if I do Control Shift Overview, so I do Control Shift Overview, notice I now have what looks like little cursor thing with my cross thing, and I click and drag, and it's only going to copy whatever part of my screen that I want. And then if I just say I wanted to capture that part, that's all I'm going to get. So Control Overview key does the full screen, and Control Shift Overview key does partial screen. Those are what I would consider probably the 15 most used shortcuts that you'll find available to you when you're working on a Chromebook and using Google Chrome. I hope everyone has a fantastic week.